Nigeria's security chiefs are accusing the judiciary of frustrating the fight against terrorism by releasing Boko Haram suspects. They made the comment when they appeared before the House of Representatives. They also spoke on various issues, including unrest in the southeast and the welfare of men and officers. Let's take a listen to this report.
After the House refused to attend to representatives sent by the service chiefs last week, top officers are here following the directive of the Green Chambers. Wide range of issues affecting the country were raised by the security chiefs. Chief of Defense Staff set the ball rolling by accusing the self-acclaimed Biafra agitator Simon Ekpa of sabotaging security agents in the southeast. General Christopher Musa accuses Ekpa of sabotaging security agents in the southeast. General Musa disclosed this when he led other service chiefs and Inspector General of Police to appear before the House of Representatives at the commencement of the sectoral debate.
One basic area we're looking at is this issue of the southeast. Simon Ekpa. So this individual has become a menace to this country.
Order.
Samuel Ekpa has become a menace to this country. So the country must act on it diplomatically. Finland is having a free way, encouraging him to do what he's doing. By his utterances and his actions, he's affecting what is happening in Nigeria. We should never allow that, sir. So I think our foreign service need to step in to address such issues. It's either we invite the ambassador or somebody, they must explain why they are protecting him. And he's doing us more harm because by his utterances, a lot of people are being killed. We cannot sit back and just keep quiet.
The general also chides the judiciary for releasing Boko Haram suspects after being arrested by the military.
Another aspect of the judiciary is this. You do all your efforts, you make an arrest, you hand over before the man is released on bail. Now you have risked yourself in doing that. By the time he is released, he goes to tell the people who you are, and then your family members or you are at risk. So it gets to a stage where the security forces are not even willing to do it, because once you get an arrest, the person is released. We have the issue in the South. A lot of the ships the other ship that was arrested 10 years ago. It was arrested, it was handed over, the ship went and changed its name, changed its color, and came back again. 10 years later, we arrested the same ship. And by the time you hand over the ship, before you know it, it's released.
Inspector General of Police Kayode Egbetokun expresses concern over the paucity of funds, which he says has led to the poor manpower, training of personnel, and welfare for personnel.
A police force that has been battered. A police force that has suffered serious neglect over the past few years. The police also finds itself operating in very difficult environment, partly as a result, as a direct consequences of this neglect. The manpower in the police today is grossly inadequate. Even the criminals know that. The United Nations ratio of 1 to 400 is not attainable in Nigeria as of today, because the ratio in Nigeria is 1 to 1,000, which suggests that we have to double the manpower in the police and over.
We have also realized that the magic wand to addressing security challenges, good governance. Anywhere you have good governance, security goes down, insecurity goes down. Without which is a problem. The security forces can only provide 30%. We can only provide the enabling environment. If other aspects are not addressed, it is a problem. Security is not only military security. We have food security, health security, social security, education security. So all these play vital roles into achieving what we're doing. So if we don't put these things in place through good governance, it becomes a problem. We also looked at the issue of increase in salaries. I know increase of salaries is bringing a lot of issues, but I think for a private soldier in the army, it takes less than 50,000 for all the work he's doing, and I think it's not adequate. On the issue of allowance, RCA, ration cash allowance, where we feed, from myself as a general to the last soldier, I'm being fed on 1,500 naira per day.
The Chief of Naval Staff, Vice Admiral Emmanuel Ogala, asked the National Assembly to intervene in enhancing surveillance to cover the backwaters, creeks, and other areas behind the coastline. According to him, if this is done, oil theft, pipeline vandalization and illegal refinery will be monitored 24 hours consistently.
Nigeria, based on our strategic position in the Gulf of Guinea, sees the entire Gulf of Guinea as our maritime area of interest, and therefore we have a larger role even beyond our exclusive economic zone. Now, this maritime area of interest and our maritime environment is the treasure base of the nation's resources, starting from oil and gas to fisheries and other mineral resources, then including the fact that it constitutes a major trade route. Of course, we all know here that over 80% of all trade between Nigeria and other countries are based on seaborne trade.
The lawmakers and other security chiefs later went into executive session because of the sensitivity of the issues involved.
Joining us now on the morning show is Group Captain Sadeeq Shehu, former Nigerian Airforce spokesperson. Good morning. Group Captain Shehu, retired. Thank you very much for joining us.
Good morning, Dr. Abati.
Well, Group Captain, let's take a look at the security situation in Nigeria and the capacity, the capability of the various security agencies to address the problem within the light of the visit of the service chiefs to the National Assembly, specifically the Senate, where they gave an account of the challenges that they are facing. I'm sure you listened to the Chief of Army Staff, who had a lot to say about the importance of good governance, about challenges with the judiciary, challenges with welfare of the troops, and also the Inspector General of Police saying that Nigeria police is underfunded, underpoliced, and that, you know, we don't even have enough policemen to meet the UN ratio, recommended ratio of 1 to 400. Instead, what we have is 1 to 1,000. And even beyond that, police stations in Nigeria do not have enough operational vehicles. And as a result of this, the police is grossly anti-cut. And then, of course, you had the Chief of Naval Staff also complaining about challenges in the maritime area. So some of those issues are challenges that they face. And then the point the Chief of Army Staff made about Simon Ekpa, who is sitting comfortably in Finland and causing problems in the southeastern part of the country. Yes, Group Captain, did you hear me?
Yes, I heard you.
Okay, please
but you went off a bit.
Yes. Let's go ahead with your observations and comments.
Well, thank you very much. It is normal. We have seen it many times happen because of the security challenges we are having periodically. The National Assembly, either one of the committees or several of the committees at once, or sometimes the whole House, will call the service chiefs and the Inspector General of Police to explain why in the opinion of the National Assembly things are not improving. And this is good for our democracy. This is also good for civil-military relations. It is also in line with the tenets that the National Assembly has as much powers as the executive has on security matters, except a few things. Whatever the executive branch can do, the National Assembly also has powers to do. In such conversations, we have two types of conversations, like you mentioned in your report. Sometimes it is in plenary, which is to say the whole House will be there with press and everybody, and then the service chiefs will be asked questions, they will answer, depending on what the issue is. At other times, because of the sensitivity of the issue, we have closed session or executive sessions, where the only people that will be there are the service chiefs themselves and the Inspector General of Police and the legislators. Now, in this last encounter, which raised a lot of attention, we've had a mixture of the two. I think it started with a whole of the House plenary session, and then later they withdrew into executive session. Now, in order for the assembly to do a proper work of providing funding or providing oversight, there has to be a very frank and open discussion between the legislators and the security chiefs. And such discussions sometimes are very sensitive in that it may not involve the general public knowing what was discussed. However, in other matters, it could be something that could be done open. Now, I do not know, out of the issues being raised, which were the issues that were discussed in plenary and which were the issues that were discussed in executive. Like I said, anybody that is called by the legislature, not only the service chiefs, in executive session, you are free, and it should be, in fact, it is a responsibility that you talk freely and talk honestly and frankly what you feel. Now, what you are expressing is your opinion. That is not to say that what you are saying, you are quoting the Bible or you are quoting the Holy Quran. That is, you are giving them, they are given the challenges that is, mitigating against their carrying out of their operations. In the background report that you give, the issues you raised, because you put the service chief, the chief of defense staff, and the chief of naval staff talking. I want to believe this is the part that happened in the plenary. There are other issues concerning this thing that happened in the executive, but somehow again we found them in the media. So what I would like to say, it is a good thing. But what I would like to ask the National Assembly members to look at, sometimes, because of the security challenges we have, these people are very busy. They are very busy. So a situation where a committee of defense will call the service chiefs today, and then tomorrow is committee of army calling him today, tomorrow it's committee of navy, and day after tomorrow is committee of national security. I think I will humbly advise that the National Assembly looks at, they coordinate this calling back and forth, because we have seen this happening many times. Sometimes when you summon them too many times, probably they will not be able to attend. And then it doesn't look good that service chiefs are called. When the report comes out, is that service chiefs have refused to come. But the assembly should also look at the number of times, the frequency. If you want to do a combined calling, why not all the committees call them and then hear? I mean, what I'm saying, the power to summon is the constitutional power of the National Assembly, but it should be used sparingly so that the service chiefs do not, take all their time, answering to legislative summons while leaving other decisions. But in all, it is a good exercise. It is good for the country. It is good for the citizens to know what is happening.
Group captains, are you saying that the service chiefs are too big for Nigerians? Because what you're saying invariably is hang on a minute, please, let me finish. If the National Assembly calls them, it's the Nigerian people that is calling them. And no matter the times they call them, it's because there's a specific need. So if you are saying they should coalesce all the callings together, are you saying that they're too big? Because we've seen this service chief not even honor the calls in the first place and give excuses. That's number one. Secondly, all I saw the service chiefs come to do was to make a lot of complaints about things that are not working. The question is, with the resources they have given them, what have they done thus far? With the resources they've been given to be able to ameliorate the challenge.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir.
First, please, I have to take exception. I never use the phrase too big. I can't use the word too big.
No, I use that phrase. I'm saying is, are they too big for Nigerians? I asked that question. Okay. Yeah, I use that phrase. I didn't say you use it.
They can never. This is a democracy. This is a democracy. The concept of democratic control of the armed forces is a tenet of democracy anywhere in the world. The elected members have the right to call them. What I am saying, the interest of the National Assembly is the same interest with the security agencies to bring a secure Nigeria. What I am saying is that in as much sometimes the summons can be too many. That is the fact. I'm not talking only of these service chiefs. We have seen it happening with the other service chiefs. We belong in this democracy at least a long while. We've seen this thing. It will start with them coming at the beginning, coming every time. Then they start sending representatives. Then they start not coming. But what you see in the newspaper is that, the National Assembly will get angry, rightly so. But what I am saying, it's a middle course. Nobody can take the power of summons of the National Assembly to call not only service chiefs, even ministers who are higher than the service chiefs. But the issue is, I'm saying, the power to summon should be used pari passu. You give these people the work to do. If you call them every time, if different committees call them over the same issue, of course, then you are taking the time that they're supposed to be in the field to be supervising their men and officers and men. That is the issue I'm saying. So the issue of too big is not there. The issue is to find a balancing point, where the legislature will do their work and also the security agencies will do their work. Having said that, you spoke about complaints. I think the purpose of this calling was for them to come and say, I think what my understanding was that the National Assembly feel, like you said, with the resources given to them, they are not seeing commensurate result. So what are they? What is the reason? And the service chiefs came now to give the challenges that are militating. And with due respect, when we say resources, it is a very wide, concept. Yes, for over the years, for many years now, for several years since we have started having these security issues, the security budget altogether is always becoming number one or at least number two. So Nigerians have to, but...
Oh, hello, sir. Group Captain, can you hear us?
Yes, yes.
Go ahead. Go ahead,
can
sir.
you hear me?
Good. Go ahead,
I can hear you.
Go ahead, sir.
Yes, when you talk of resources, the devil is in the details. The devil is what was provided, how quickly were the money released, what percentage of the security budget is released over there and at what time. These are issues that we have to see. And even the function of the National Assembly of streamlining the budget. Is it for capital expenditure? Is it for operational cost? Is it for overhead? These are issues that the National Assembly can follow up and make sure that we have a balanced budget. For example, if you have a budget which is with the approval of National Assembly that carries 70% of the budget for personnel costs, then of course you are doing something wrong. And in this case, both the executive branch and the National Assembly have to take blame for that. So when we say resources, from my own investigation, I believe that it's not all the money we see in Naira and Kobo on paper that gets to the military. It is not Naira and Kobo that is written on the paper that reaches them on time. So these are some of the issues. We are, it's a valid point to ask them for all the resources given, but how are the resources disbursed? How are they released? How big are they? And what are the ones? I would like to challenge you as a journalist to make your own investigation. What is the requirement that the security agency submitted, and what was given to them after the budget? Now, don't quote me wrong, please. I am not saying that the whole national budget should be given for security, because we that do, defense budgeting studies, that's what we call the guns versus the butter debate. You have to do hospitals, you have to do roads. So that is to say, you cannot carry everything and put in security. But then, when you have security issues, you have to prioritize security to such an extent that you also take care of the other sectors of national life.
I would like to, dig deep into that, your argument. Take, for instance, they told us the Super Toano was a game changer, and we broke the bank to give the military the Super Toano. But a lot of people argue that, have we seen the commensurate results? That money was taken from a future fund account that we ought to use for other things, but we use it for a Super Toano. So that was given, that was delivered. We heard it was a game changer. What's going on? So those are the questions Nigerians, want to really ask and get answers to.
Well, I am not speaking for the armed forces. I'm not speaking for the Air Force, but yes, when you say a certain weapon system is a game changer, this is the opinion of experts who have seen that aircraft or that equipment performing in other conflict areas. That is what countries look at. That is what defense planners look at before they decide, I want to buy aircraft A, or ship B, or tank B. It is the performance. How has it performed in conflicts that are similar to Nigeria? In terrains that are similar to Nigeria, has it performed very well? If it does, most security planners would like to have that aircraft. Having said that, to my own knowledge, the Super Toano, for what it was bought to do, has performed. However, in saying that, there is no silver bullet. There is no one equipment that serves, even within aircraft, even within land equipment, even within naval equipment. There is no one equipment that serves everything. I always give example is like a well-provided housewife. If you go to her kitchen, you will see a set of knives. Each of those knives has its work to do. But of course, a poor woman who doesn't have a well-endowed husband, she will have one knife that she uses to cut bone, to cut flesh, to carve, to skill, and everything. So this is the issue. The Super Toano is a ground attack aircraft. The advantage it has is to reduce collateral damage because it can fly not too fast and not too high. Aircrafts that have jet engine, they have to operate very high, and that's what brings collateral damage. Because the higher you are, the more difficult it is for you to identify targets to make sure that these are villagers and these are Boko Haram. So this is why the Super Toano, not only in Nigeria. Nigeria is not the first country to use it. Several countries have used it. So, but having said that, it may be in hyping the Super Toano, Nigerians were given the impression that once you buy the Super Toano, it is over. But it is not so. It is not so.
Well, Group Captain, as a retired military officer and somebody in this field of security, what is the way forward? One of the service chiefs made the point that in Borno State, the warders, persons working in correctional facilities, are the ones, in fact, helping the terrorists. And those terrorists operate even when they are in prison. They help them to use their own personal accounts to send money to facilitate operations. Secondly, the service chief also pointed out that judiciary is part of the problem. That when, the military or the police take people to the courts for trial, before you get home, the person will have been granted bail. Well, the court has no other obligation other than to follow procedure. And the law guarantees room for right to fair hearing, for people to be given bail, under certain circumstances. What is the way forward as we begin to wrap up?
Well, thank you very much. Also, again, I have to look at the context. What is the context? Is the service chiefs talking to elected leaders in an executive session? In such a session, for them to help you and me, I think honest and frank discussion and what the service chief think what they believe, they should tell the legislators, because it's like going to a doctor and not telling him the actual symptoms that you have of your disease. Of course, he's going to diagnose a wrong something for you. So that's how I see it. So it's in the process of frank and honest discussion that the CDS made this statement as his opinion, as his experience as somebody who has served in Maiduguri. Now, having said that, again, when we look at the public reports, it is true that from 2017, I think that's when we started the trial of the Boko Haram. In one fell swoop, about 526 were released. Of course, like you said, rightly pointed out as a lawyer, that the judiciary also have their own procedure. So I have followed that trial. What I see, most of those people that were released, the judiciary said they do not have credible evidence. The military have their way of getting evidence, sometimes maybe by coercion, which when you take it to the court, it will not do. So the way forward, as far as this thing is concerned, is understanding between the military and judiciary. What does the judiciary need to establish that Mr. X is a Boko Haram or he has killed people? You have to have, and how do you collect that evidence? Is it by coercion? Is it by keeping somebody? He also raised the issue of long detention. With regards to this Boko Haram, I have also worked on that dossier, working for some agencies. What we find is that the Ministry of Justice, which was supposed to try them, was not comfortable of taking them over the military. So we had these people staying up to 9, 11 years. The military were left with them. Of course, again, you bring the issue of long detention, but the judiciary was not ready to take them. When eventually the judiciary took them, they didn't even want to try them in normal courts. They took them to Kayanji in a military, which again, human rights organizations, whether the United Nations has passed many comments on that. You are keeping these people too long. We are not happy with. So these are issues that they need close collaboration, close understanding on how the judiciary operates and how the military operates. If the CDS or any service chief spoke, he's speaking with his knowledge as a military officer. You have pointed out the legal decision. I also agree. There may be some legal nuances here. The court cannot just find somebody guilty just because the military want to get rid of him. It cannot be done. But then also, the military needs to understand what are the kind of details, what are the kind of evidence that you will collect, and in what manner will you collect it, so that by the time you take this man to the court will not sit and say, yes, it's conclusive, this guy is guilty. I think this is the, as somebody who has served in the military, and also I say myself as a human rights NGO, I'm all there. There is this institutional culture, difference in institutional culture. So if there is no understanding, the military may be making, some high expectation of the judiciary to serve the purpose of the military, while also the judiciary may not understand how the military operates. So what I would ask for the way forward is close collaboration and close understanding how these processes are being done. It is lack of those understanding. Like I said, most of the Boko Haram, 526 of them, were released for lack of evidence. The military brought evidence. But what did they end up? The man will say, I was beaten up to obtain the evidence. If you are beaten up to obtain the evidence, the court cannot use it. We all know that. On that note. So, but these are issues that need to be, yes.
On that note, Group Captain Sadeeq Shehu, would like to thank you very much for joining us on the Monday Show.